Hello, Conrad and Lucy and Caleb. Papa is back with another great Fantastic Four adventure. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one, so let's jump right in, okay? This one is called Calamity on the Campus. All right, the editors say, wow, have we got a treat for you? And what do you think? We've got a dragon fighting the Fantastic Four. And evidently they're on a college campus while all this happens. Well, let's look and see. Here's the front cover again, Calamity on the Campus, and they're on the campus of Reed Richards' alma mater, Ben Grimm too. It says, introducing the sinister surprise of the year, Dragon Man, plus a great guest villain from out of the perilous past. Who will that be? All right, let's set the scene. It's a big day for State University when Reed Richards, its most brilliant alumnus, arrives to deliver a lecture, bringing his fellow FF members with him. If you've nothing better to do right now, let's join them. And so here they are in their Fantasticar, and Sue says it's every bit as lovely as Reed said it would be. Look at their campus building. It looks like a castle. Johnny is thinking Reed's a great guy and all that, but I hope I can stay awake during his lecture. Yeah, even our best friends can be pretty boring. Oh, and Ben Grimm is saying, I used to knock 'em dead when I was the glamour pants of the gridiron here. Boy, what a tackle I could be now. So Ben Grimm played football here. He was Reed Richards' roommate, and that's how they met each other. All right, here's a couple of campus students. They say, wow, look how Mr. Fantastic is stretching his arm. The other one says, you look at him. I want to see Sue Storm before she turns invisible. Reed Richards, as you can see, is stretching his hand, shaking someone's hand. He says, my old alma mater. That means my mother's school. This is where he went to school. All right. This fella says, welcome to State, sir. And this fella, look at that hat he's got with the feather. Someone call the dean. Alert the photographers. The FF just landed. All right. Marvelophiles, that's us, because we love Marvel. This is all the introduction you're going to get. Well, that's really a lot of introduction. We've got a lot of story to tell, so let's get with it. Flip the page and away we go. Okay, here's another spread. All right, so Ben Grimm says, so you want to help with our luggage, huh? Well, now, ain't that nice of you? Here, pal, how's this for a starter? And the fellows say, holy smoke, they feel like they're filled with lead weights. Ben says, they are. I don't aim to get muscle bound up here. So he packed his weights and carried them with him. How funny. Sue says, whoops. Sue says, my, so many charming boys. Don't you have any girls here at State University? The fellow says, after looking at you, Miss Storm, we're not so sure. The chicks over there are mooning over Reed Richards. So here they are. And Reed says, don't crowd, girls. I'll give each of you an autograph. The girl says, if it's all the same to you, handsome, we'd rather crowd around. Poor Johnny, he's over here standing by himself. He's thinking, what's with those cookie co-eds? I guess a high school kid is like nowhere with them. All right, so here they all are at the campus, and here comes the dean. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is indeed an honor, my boy. We on the faculty know how busy you all are. Reed says, never too busy to visit an old friend, Dean Mencken. Benjamin and I have spoken of you often, sir. Good, good. Now, let me show you around. A few minutes later, the dean says, our students consider it a great triumph to be quartered in the dorm which you and Ben shared years ago. Ben says, if anyone asks me to make a speech, I'll run for the hills. I'm more the clobbering type. Johnny thinks Ben and Reed really must have been big men on campus around here. And of course, they were. And look who they're encountering along the way. Do you know who this is? Of course you do. It's Professor X. And the dean says, oh, are you leaving so soon, Professor Xavier? I thought you might stay to hear Mr. Richards' lecture. Well, Professor says, I'd like to, Dean Mencken, but I have other matters to attend to. Thank you for allowing me to interview the students I requested. Reed says, I've heard of Professor Xavier. He runs some sort of private school in Westchester. And Johnny is looking around. He thinks, if only she was a couple of years younger. Well, look who's with Professor X. You know who that is too, don't you? Of course, that's Cyclops. Professor X is thinking how surprised Richards would be to know that I can read his every thought. And he says to the dean, perhaps you can visit me at my school someday, Dean Mencken. Come, Scott, we must not miss our plane. And Scott's thinking, too bad our trip here was in vain. Those we tested were not true mutants. So that's why they were there at the university. They were looking for mutants, but they didn't find any. Reed says, Professor Xavier is reputed to be one of our most brilliant scientists, and yet I never see any published accounts of his findings. Ben says, maybe he ain't a nut for publicity, like some rubber-skinned guys I know. Dean says, I've heard he specializes in training gifted youngsters. Well, that's right, gifted in a way that the dean would never guess. Johnny says, holy cow, Reed, Ben, come a-running. Look what's shaking in there. What is it? It's a shadow. It looks menacing. And they walk into the room, and Johnny says, oh, it's only some kind of model. The dean looks angry. He says, Professor Gilbert, I'd like a word with you. Look at all those strange models that he's working with in there. Dean says, I've told you I cannot permit you to carry on your own personal experience until the semester has ended. Now, kindly put a cover over that hideous thing. Dr. Gilbert says, I'm sorry, Dean Mencken. It's just that I'm so close to completing my experiment. I was too impatient. Reed Richards, ever the curious scientist, says, what is the nature of your experiment, Professor? He answers, I'm a biologist specializing in superpowered humans. I'm constructing a creature more powerful than anything that lives, including the Fantastic Four, for the purpose of research and analysis. Ben says, the last time I heard a speech like that, Vincent Price was making it. Reed thinks, there's a strange aura of menace about that creature, as though it's waiting for life. But now, let's switch our scene briefly as we visit a lonely, mysterious forest in far-off Transylvania. Do you remember who lives and is buried in Transylvania? Here are two villagers. One says, Hans, Hans, come quick. Something is happening. I heard an explosion at the slag heap yonder. Hans says, impossible, Wolfgang. We are alone in these woods, but I shall go and look with you. See, I was right. Something is rising from below. Wolfgang, do you realize what this place is? Do you know what we have stumbled onto? Do you know what this place is, Conrad? Do you know what they stumbled onto, Lucy? Who is going to rise from below? Before another word can be said, a great explosion rocks the slag heap and bursts open the hillside. All right, the two men, they say that explosion, it was worse than the other. What could have been powerful enough to quiet? It will be worth our lives if we are discovered. That was no ordinary explosion. Do you see who's rising? Can you tell from the silhouette in the smoke? This is the place where Diablo dwelt. Even now he rises from the depths. All right, so that's the old villain. It's Diablo in a new outfit. Okay, he's designed him some new threads in red. And he says, I'm free again. After all these months, my potions and my herbs have released me from captivity. The Fantastic Four had made the fatal mistake of imprisoning me with my miraculous powders. And now all I need do is take one powerful pellet from my glove and Diablo will strike again. When next I appear, it shall be in America, to the eternal regret of the accursed costumed quartet. So he casts down the pellet and he disappears to be transported to America. The two villagers say to each other, Wolfgang, did you see that? He vanishes before our very eyes. Wherever the Fantastic Four may be, he will find them, for he is Diablo. Wow. Now, back to America, the hallowed halls of Ivy at State U. The Thing comes in and says, hey, Professor Gilbert, did you see anything of my egg-headed partner, Stretcho? No, I have seen no one, says Gilbert. Go away, I'm busy. And look, he's pulling this great giant block of granite. Thing says, okay, but it looks to me like you could use some help with this overgrown paperweight. Where do you want it, Prof? He says, careful, for the love of heaven, that rock is a fragment which fell from outer space. It is virtually priceless. I intend to reduce it to its basic atomic structure in an effort to discover the basic life force which may be hidden within. Ben says, oh, knock it off, Curly. I get enough of that kind of talk from old Rubberhead. What is it, contagious or something? See you around, Chuckles. Don't call me, I'll call you. And so the Thing walks out the door, looking backward, and look, here comes Johnny. He's looking away too. He's thinking, these chicks can't kid me. They're dying to meet me. But they figured they wouldn't have a chance with such a celebrity. Well, this is what happens when you walk without looking where you're going. Bam! They walked right into each other. Thing says, hey, watch where you're going, you blamed. Oh, I might have knowed it would be you, half pint. Johnny says, hundreds of gals in this place, and I have to bump into you. I'll cut it out, you big ox, or I'll give you a hot foot where you sit. Thing says, look, small fry, didn't Reed tell you to behave like a gentleman here, even if it kills you? Why don't you imitate me so you'll amount to something someday? He says, imitate you? We've got to get you to a doctor, Big Mouth. You've just lost all your marbles. All right, enough of the compliments, Junior. Let's go find Reed. Well, look who they find instead. Do y'all remember Peter Parker? Sure you do. Thing says, look at that, Shorty. There's another mixed up looking half pint. I bet he's waiting for someone to take his pink little hand and lead him out of here. Peter says to himself, he says, uh-oh, there's the thing in that swell-headed torch. Maybe they won't notice me if I walk right by. But Johnny thinks, hey, I know who that is. It's Peter Parker, the guy Dory tried to get friendly with till I put the kibosh on him. Y'all may remember the story of when Peter Parker was kind of sweet on Johnny's girlfriend, Dory Evans, and so they got into a big fight. But then the Beatles showed up. I don't know if you remember that. That was a long time ago. Well, anyway, so Johnny sees Peter. Peter sees Johnny. Johnny thinks, I wonder if he's planning to enroll at State U when he finishes high school. If he does, he'd better stay out of my way while he's here. Ben says, say, Sonny, did you see anything of a tall drink of water who looks like his idea of a lot of fun would be to get shipwrecked on a desert island with a slide rule? Peter says, if you mean Reed Richards, I noticed him on the football field giving a demonstration. Johnny then pipes up, by the way, Parker, what are you doing here? I'm not giving out autographs today. Peter says, you couldn't pay me to take one of yours, Bird Brain. I came to see about enrolling for next year, but if you're going to be here, forget it. Ben says, hey, I'm the only one who can talk to Torchy like that. Johnny says, relax, Ben. Makes him feel like a big man because he knows I wouldn't fight with a nobody like him. Peter thinks, someday you're going to find out who this nobody really is, son, and you'll know it. So really, the Torch has fought with Peter Parker, but when he was Spider-Man. Well, that's a story for another day. All right, a few minutes later on the football field, we see this football player throwing the football. And he says, what a guy, he can snag it no matter where I toss it. The other player says, man, if we ever could have an end like Mr. Fantastic on our team, we wouldn't need the other 10 men. But here comes Ben. And Reed says, Benjamin, I've been waiting for you. Come on, boy, catch this. Show him some of the old razzmatazz, big fella. Ben says, I hear you talking, chum. Just make them big, strong heroes promise they won't get too rough with delicate little me. The players say, wow, it's the ever-loving Thing. He was the best four-letter man State ever had. Well, let's see how good he is now. All right, so Ben gets a hold of the football. The whole team comes after him, and they pile on. They say, we got him. We brought down the Thing. This'll put us on the map. One fellow says, stop gloating and bear down. He's trying to shake us off. And then he says, no, I wouldn't dream of shaking you cutie pies off. I'll just carry you out of the hot sun into the shade. And look, he's lifting the whole blame team like we're feathers. But Sue, being a motherly type, she thinks it's not fair. They don't have a chance against Ben, but I'll even the odds by putting an invisible wall in front of him. So look, Lucy, what Sue does. She puts this invisible wall in front of the Thing. What's going to happen? Boing! He says, who's the wise guy? Who's the wise guy? And so he bounces off of the wall. Sue thinks, oh dear, I didn't think he'd hit it so hard. And Johnny laughs. What's the matter, Rockhead? Can't you even handle one measly football team without tripping over those big gunboats of yours? Sue thinks, I have a feeling that I'd better turn invisible for a while until Ben gets a hold of his temper. He's sure to suspect that my unseen force field was what threw him. But then, while she's invisible, she looks and she sees this red car going by. She thinks, that man speeding by in that hardtop, why did he look familiar? Why does my woman's intuition make me shudder at the sight of him? Do you see the silhouette inside the car? Makes me shudder too. If only I could have gotten a closer look at him. But we get a closer look at him, and we know who he is. It's Diablo. And he says, the one I seek is in the building directly ahead of me. Sue thinks he's heading for the science lab. I've just got to follow and learn who he is. Okay. But she's still invisible, and suddenly another car darts out from a side road. She hollers, "Why don't you look where you're..." Oh, I forgot. I'm invisible. They couldn't see me. I'm lucky I wasn't run over. Well, I would think so. But now she sneaks up on the red car and realizes here's his car, but due to the interruption I just had, I didn't see where he went when he left it. I've lost him. I might as well turn visible again, and oh no, she turns visible right in the middle of a bunch of college kids. She thinks, oh dear, what's the matter with me? I'm getting so careless lately. While everybody's all startled that Sue Storm just appears out of nowhere. But not far away, in the laboratory of Professor Gilbert, Diablo says, I have journeyed a long way to see you, Professor. Professor says, I don't know you. Who are you? What do you want? My name is Diablo, and like you, I am a scientist, a seeker of knowledge. I have learned about your lifeless creature and the powers it would possess if it lived. Gilbert says, how could you? I haven't publicized it. But, he says, I have my methods. But now, look at this. It is what you need. He looks and asks, what is it? It is a potion of my own creation. It has the power to give life to an inanimate object. Gilbert says, you must be mad. Nothing can breathe life into this creature which I have modeled. Diablo says, hold your tongue. You cannot comprehend to whom you are speaking. Now, remove that sheet. Gilbert thinks, his tone of voice, the tone of one who is used to instant obedience. This is no simple crackpot visitor. I cannot refuse him. And he says, I'll show you my creature, but nothing can give it life. I call it my Dragon Man. It combines the greatest powers I could give an artificial creation, a mighty tail, built-in heat reactors which emit flame at the touch of a button, wings. Diablo says, enough. Spare me the details. One look is all I need. He shall serve my purposes admirably. Now, you must obey me implicitly, and I shall show you wonders beyond your wildest dreams. Oh my, look at the Dragon Man. He looks powerful and ferocious, but so far he is lifeless. There he is in all of his great mightiness. At that very moment, Reed Richards prepares to lecture a capacity crowd of eager students. The dean says, and now, honored guests, members of the faculty and students, the moment we have been waiting for has arrived. And so, without any further ado, Thing is thinking, yeesh. As my dear old Aunt Petunia used to say, the only thing worse than speeches is more speeches. Well, sometimes I agree. Unless I'm the one making the speech, of course. And so, the Thing bugs out of Reed's speech. He thinks, nobody'll miss me if I get lost for a while. I'll duck in here and grab some shut-eye till... Hey, what's going on in there? It sounds like someone using a homemade do-it-yourself atom splitter. So he follows the light and the noise. And he finds within the lab of Professor Gilbert. Gilbert is saying, it's unbelievable. I can't believe my eyes. Your potions actually seem to be breathing life into my Dragon Man. Diablo says, bah, that is nothing compared to the wonders you are about to see. And look, he's got a machine that is aiming power into that block of meteor that came from outer space, and it seems to be bathing Dragon Man in light and power. But before the dreaded arch-villain Diablo can utter another word, 500 pounds of savage orange skins fighting fury come hurtling towards him. The thing says, "Holy cow, it's Diablo! You must be the one Sue saw speeding by her in the car." Diablo says, "The thing, so we meet again. But this time our meeting will be a brief one. Seize him, my pet." Now what? Look, this arm comes in and grabs the thing and yanks him up and away. Who has that kind of power? It's the Dragon Man come to life. Turning slowly, the incredulous thing sees Professor Gilbert's Dragon Man has miraculously come to life. And then he says, "Hey, this ain't no blamed super robot. What in Sam Hill is it? It's alive." Gilbert says, "How? How did you do it, Diablo?" Diablo says, "I told you, my potions are infallible. I can do anything." And so the thing punches him, thwack, says, "Lego, you blasted freak. Keep your dishpan hands to yourself." But he doesn't knock out the Dragon Man. Instead, the Dragon Man wraps his tail around the thing. Thing says, "Hey, what gives? When I clobber someone, he's supposed to stay clobbered." Diablo says, "But this time you're battling one whose power far exceeds yours." And so the tail whips the thing around. Diablo says, "See how effortlessly your Dragon Man hurls the thing through that window, Professor. See the strength of my potions." Gilbert says, "But this is terrible. I created him for study, for research, not for this. How can we control him now? What damage will he do?" What damage indeed? I expect quite a bit. And so the thing goes crashing through the window. And Diablo says he will do only what I order him to do. So long as my potion gives him life, my will is his will. The thing says, "For this, I had to come to college? Where are my other panting partners when I need them the most? Boy, you can never find a superhero when you need one." And look, the thing goes crashing into a tree branch. He says, "Heads up, tree. This'll only hurt a minute." But here comes the Dragon Man. Diablo says, "Now go, Dragon Man. Seek out the Fantastic Four. Let nothing stand in your way. Destroy them." Gilbert says, "No, Diablo, no, you mustn't. This is madness." And Diablo says, "Silence, you whimpering fool. You have served your purpose. I am done with you." And so, see how my awesome potion has given him the power to use the wings which you created for him. In the past, my potions were imperfect, but now I have had time to study them, to improve them. Now they are infallible. And so Diablo's potions have given life to the Dragon Man, and he flies off. What danger will he get into? What disasters will he impose on the campus and on the Fantastic Four? That's what we'll find out when we come back and finish our story next time. So, are you excited? Are you having fun? Love y'all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.